So in today's video I want to talk about the long and treacherous journey that it took to get to the finished result of this drawing, because, and you guys might know this as well, sometimes you have days where it just seems like your drawing just isn't turning out right, and I was having a really hard time with this drawing. Honestly, there were so many points where I wanted to give up, but I decided I would stick it through to the end. However, I did actually do 2 different versions of this drawing, and I started a version where I basically tried to copy the exact poses of the original drawing that I had done in 2012, and I realised that original drawing was very stiff, and they were both standing quite awkwardly, and that probably was what was throwing me off of the new one as well. So after a while I decided I just couldn't continue with that drawing anymore, so I then decided to draw it again, but this time just going from the waist up, and that made it a lot more easy and a lot less stressful for me. And the thing is that when I'm doing something that's more from like the feet up, it's way more time consuming and it's way more stressful for me, because I avoid doing full bodies because I find them to be too time consuming or too difficult, which isn't really a good way of going about things that you find difficult in art. I always encourage people to try and do things they find difficult as much as possible, which is why I have been drawing more guys lately and more landscapes lately. But with this drawing, I just knew I couldn't keep at that particular version of it. But I decided to keep that version in the video anyway, because I thought it might be of interest to you guys to see what I originally had and why I felt like I couldn't keep going with that. So whether or not you prefer my original redraw I was doing of it or the newer one, I definitely prefer the newer one, and it was causing me a lot less stress to create it. So I was thinking maybe sometime in the future I will start a series where I do paintovers or redraws of your drawings, because I think I've had a lot of people suggest that before, that people submit in their drawings for me to redraw, or they submit in a finished painting that they want me to do a critique or a paintover of. And considering the fact I have been thinking about making a Patreon, I thought if I do make a Patreon, that'll be the best kind of opportunity to start doing a paintover series. So please let me know what you guys would think about that. And also very soon I have a really exciting video planned where I'm going to be showing you another behind the scenes comic process, but this time of the Ember comic, because it's actually going to be released in late May. And I'm being 100% serious this time. Like, I have all the sketches done for the comic and it's basically ready for issue 1 to be released then. So I'm really excited about that, because you know when you have like a passion project, like for example, oh my god, I'm gonna be terribly unfactual right now because I'm just going off my memory, but you know Treasure Planet, and how Treasure Planet was the passion project of like 2 directors at Disney, and they had to like direct loads of different films before they could even make Treasure Planet. That is how I feel about like my Ember comic. That was a really bad analogy. I don't know, hopefully you get what I'm saying. Basically, it is very dear to my heart because Ember and Akira and all the characters within that world are characters that I've had in my head since I was about 12 years old. So for like 6, almost 7 years now. Oh my god, I forgot I'm going to be 19 in May. That's really scary. But anyway, yeah, they've been characters of mine for such a long time, and to be able to take these characters that have gone through many redesigns, which could be a video in and of itself, and tell the story that I've wanted to tell in one of my favourite mediums, which is in comic form, that's going to be amazing, and I know people have been wanting to see it for a very long time, so I'm just very excited for that. This summer is going to be like the best summer ever because I've got such a long time off and I can just sit here and draw and make loads of videos, and that's what I'm really excited about. Anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this redraw. So the original drawing, you'll notice I don't really know what to call those eyes, because I used to draw eyes in a very weird way. I had like this weird cartoony style that I was going for, which I think was influenced by a lot of different popular cartoons, but this is when I was like, I'm going to be a cartoonist, which was a phase that didn't last very long. But I used to draw a circle with 2 lines, so a line on the top and a line on the bottom to be the top and bottom of the eyelid. And honestly, looking at it now, I don't think it was terrible as a kind of style, but I don't think it's just not very appealing to me. I feel like that was a bit of a contradiction, but yeah, I don't really like that old drawing at all, but I liked the characters in it, and I never drew them again, so they weren't really original characters. It was just a little situation I came up with in my head. So in the original one, he's hiding these flowers behind his back and smiling at her, and she's smiling back at him. And what I took issue with in the original drawing was that there seemed to be a little bit of a disconnect. Like, it just didn't make sense for her and him to be smiling at each other and standing that awkwardly, like kind of turned away from one another like that. And that is why I decided in the new version of it, I would have him have the flowers actually in front of him. I also decided, instead of the random multicolored flowers that are very unrealistic looking, I'm going to have him holding a bouquet of roses. So that is what I did, and I did have a lot of trouble with the hand, but I pushed through. I did use a reference. You know, when in doubt, use a reference, guys, trust me, it is very helpful, and I'm very happy with how it came out in the end. So he's actually holding the flowers. I mean, technically, if I was to critique my newer drawing, I would say the fact she's still slightly turned away and she's not fully looking at him is a bit problematic, but me and this chat on the live stream, where I was actually live streaming this drawing, we found it quite funny because we were coming up with a sort of description of what the situation was, and we were like, imagine if she just felt really awkward about receiving the roses and she actually wasn't interested at all, so her smile was more of like an awkward, like, oh wow, thanks, you didn't really have to do that kind of thing. But yeah, she is kind of turned away, and it is a bit like it might have worked a little bit better if she was facing towards him more, but I think the poses in the newer one are a lot better than the original one, so at least I can say I improved in that aspect a little bit. But yeah, this was just, I don't know what it was about this drawing, I just had such a hard time painting it and blending out the painting, and it was really frustrating. But I was very happy with the roses because they were giving me a lot of trouble, and I pushed through and they ended up looking okay-ish in the end. So I'm thinking of making a guide to making your own OC video. And for anyone who's watching and doesn't know what an OC is, because I know I'm going to get this question, I always get this question, an OC is an original character. So I'm thinking of making a video on how to make your own original character, and my biggest tips and tricks from everything I've learned from having my own OCs, everything I've learned at university, because we do modules on how to make creative stories and creative characters, so it's kind of been drilled into my brain recently, like all these different methods of how to do it, and it has been a big part of my life for the last year, like creating characters and concepts, because that's a big part of what we do at my university. Because in my final year I'm going to be making a final year film, and I'll have to create characters and some kind of narrative for that. So I feel like more so than last year, more so recently, I have more valuable advice to give, per se, from everything I've learned at university as well. So I would really like to make a guide to making your own OC, and I've had some people request it before, so if that's something you want to see, please let me know. Anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had so much fun making it. It was really fun revisiting this old drawing and drawing this couple again. There isn't really much of a story behind the original drawing, unfortunately. It was just 2 characters I decided to draw, but it was interesting learning how I would reinterpret them now, like this many years later. I think 6 years later from the original one, or it was 2013 that I drew it. It could have been 2013, in which case it would have been 5 years later, but I'm not sure. Also, I've literally just realised as I'm filming this video that I've forgotten to put the yellow stripes on his shirt, so oops. But anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again next week. Bye guys!